Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice, and it's by user Throwaway Child Dilemma. My 33 female husband, 35 male, wants to take a paternity test. It is not what you think from the title. We've been married for 2 years, together for 4, and we have a son, 1 male. Prior to our relationship, my husband had several relationships. One of these was with Paula. Paula has 3 boys, 20, 15, and 5. Each of them has a different father. Paula and my husband remained friendly following their breakup, and while he never wanted me to be uncomfortable, they were a lot closer than typical exes. About a year ago, Paula's boyfriend had a massive heart attack and died. About a month ago, after a sudden cancer diagnosis, Paula died. My husband was devastated and has been crying pretty much every day. I've tried to be there for him, but I don't know what more I can do for him. This has affected him in a way that I never thought it would. My husband admitted to me that when Paula became pregnant, they weren't sure who the youngest son's father was. They had both been with her. She was living with her boyfriend, so neither of them said anything to him. Paula's oldest son is estranged from his father and is talking about dropping out of college to raise his brothers. The middle son is already with his father, with whom he has a good relationship. My husband told me he wants to take a DNA test to see if Paula's youngest son is his and give him a home if he is. Admittedly, the youngest son has very prominent recessive features that are prominent in both Paula's and my husband's families. He has not asked my feelings on this, and I really don't know how to feel. We have our son, we have our family, and now he wants to append everything without even asking me. In a year, we planned to try for another baby. Financially, we could do it, but this is not my child. This is something I didn't even know about until last month. At the same time, I don't want Paula's son to give up his life to raise his brother, nor do I want to be the kind of person who tells her husband what he can't do. I didn't want to date someone who had kids for this exact reason, and while I know it wasn't explicit, I still feel lied to in this respect. I'm trying to support him while still processing my own feelings. I don't even know how I feel and I don't know what to do. To cut this off before people start writing fiction, no, he was not cheating on me. When he told me, I asked him when this ended and it was before we met. Even though I didn't ask for it, he showed me text messages, his Google timeline, and several emails which backed this up. Furthermore, we haven't spent a night apart since we've been married. Paula's boyfriend hated him for obvious reasons, so he never went over there. Oof, OP, this is a tough situation, so I'm gonna split it into 2. The first thing I'm gonna say is that it wasn't right for Paula and your husband to lie to Paula's boyfriend. I'm pretty sure Paula was afraid that her boyfriend would leave her if she had to take a DNA test regarding who's the father of the child. I think that sucks, but there's nothing that can be done at this point because both Paula and her boyfriend have passed away. Regardless of all of this, that child is not at fault at all. And that's what I think the main focus should be. I absolutely understand your reservations with all of this, and you are right to feel lied to because, you just found out a month ago that your husband might have a son with somebody else. Now, in my opinion, the word might is the key word in that sentence. I think your husband should take the DNA test to clear this whole thing up. And once that information is in the open and known, then you can make a decision. At least that's how I would proceed. And what about you guys? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know what you think in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they had to say. All of me, all of you says, no matter the decision, there will be a huge storm of emotions. You guys should immediately get counseling. And OP responds, that is definitely happening. Scarlet Witch 5224 says, so this is a huge thing, and I'm glad to see you are in counseling. A few things I want to say just so you have someone else saying them. 1. You have a right to be shell-shocked. You have been blindsided by something that is life-changing while you are trying to help your husband through a huge grief. There are so many emotions you need to work through here, and you and your husband will need to have some serious conversations. Allow yourself to feel these emotions and please talk through them in counseling and with your husband because you need each other right now. 2. You need to seriously start preparing for the outcome of this test. And I don't mean legally, I mean mentally. If this child is your husband's son, you need to actually think through if you can handle this. If you can't handle this, that is understandable, but you need to start figuring that out now, for everyone's sake. If you can't, do recognize that your marriage might not survive, and that is a conversation you need to start having with your counselor. 3. If you don't think you can do it, please don't fake it to keep your marriage together. That child deserves better, and your child will be okay. 4. Even if you do take this child in, you won't be his mom, and your husband won't be his dad. You will be his caregivers and parental figures, but he already has parents. They died, but they are still his parents. You will be stepping in to help finish the job your husband's close friend started, but you won't take her place, and your husband won't take her husband's place. 5. I'm sorry. Honestly and truly, I am sorry that you are in this situation. I'm sorry your husband is in this situation. I'm sorry that child is in this situation. This whole situation sucks and no one deserves it. I hope you and your husband are able to work through and you are able to give that little boy a loving home. He needs it, and you seem like a very caring person, so I think you will be able to do it. You are reeling and will need time to process, but you care for your husband and you care for those kids. Just keep pushing, keep working through it, and eventually, no matter what happens, you will end up on the other side. Queen of the stress. The only thing you can do is get the DNA test and decide from there. Okay, well, the community definitely gave OP some very good advice, particularly that second commenter. And that last commenter said everything I did, but in 3 seconds. Anyways, before we move on with the update, I'd like to read a lot more information that I got from OP's comments that give an idea of what's going through her head. It's just a lot to process. All of the things I've considered dealing with, this was not in my scope of imagination. And just to be clear, I don't think the child is a burden or a waste. He's literally lost both of his parents in less than a year. It's a horrible situation. Additionally, the boyfriend's parents are dead, and Paula's parents are both in poor health. I really haven't processed this. I've been trying to support him. I want to be pissed, but I can't bring myself to be angry. During the time that my husband could have been with Paula, he was under the impression that Paula and her boyfriend had broken up. The boyfriend had moved out. When it became clear that they were back together, that's when things ended between them. Paula found out she was pregnant a month later, but didn't tell him until she was 4 months along. At that point, her boyfriend had already moved back in. My husband says that the likelihood of him ever being able to talk about this openly was so remote, and he didn't want to blow up her world when she and her boyfriend were doing well. The oldest brother sees it as his responsibility, and he would be dropping out of college to raise his brother, essentially because he thinks he's the closest capable relative. I think if there was another suitable guardian, he would stay in school. The oldest's father is still alive. They don't have a relationship though, and he's always been close to my husband. He is well aware that my husband and his mother were involved since my husband was around for quite a bit of his life. I am not happy that he didn't tell me, but at the same time, I kind of get it. He was afraid I would walk away. He said he didn't want to destroy our future over a maybe that was likely to not change the course of his life in the long run. It's easy for me to say that now that I would have 100% stuck by him if he told me, but honestly, new relationship, still feeling someone out, figuring out long-term compatibility. Hey, I may have a kid out there, but I'm not going to be able to have a relationship with him, and you have to keep this a secret. I don't know that I wouldn't have ghosted him. I don't even know what to do at this point. I am numb. I'm trying to support him, take care of my son, and keep myself sane, and I haven't even had a chance to form feelings about this. It's like my entire world has been turned upside down. I cried last night after everyone went to bed. I don't know what I was crying over. I just feel so frustrated. If he is my husband's, then he's our son's brother, and I know he doesn't know any better, but I keep feeling like I'd be doing wrong by our son if I didn't let my husband do this. However, this is something that I'm not even prepared for. This is not the plan. I don't mean to say I won't do it, but I don't even know how I feel right now. Alright, well, now we know a lot more regarding this whole situation, and I have to be honest, I do get the feeling that OP is such a nice person. I don't know about you guys, but that's what I get. So, now let's move on with the update to see what happened and how this story ends. My husband, Andrew, contacted Sean, the oldest son, and told him that he wanted to do a DNA test with Jack, the youngest. Sean apparently had suspicions because he knew my husband and Paula were seeing each other. The test came back and Andrew is Jack's father. He told me that he understood if I wanted to go, but he had to be there for his son. Honestly, I'd been hoping that he wasn't the father so he wouldn't have to deal with it, but I just couldn't be angry with him. He was doing what he was supposed to be doing, so I told him that we would take Jack in. It has been an adjustment, to be honest. Jack didn't really understand why he was coming to stay with us and kept saying he wanted to go home. We've gotten him a therapist as well, who has given us a lot of great advice on how to explain things. We've made sure to have Paula's parents over quite a bit to reassure him, and they're very grateful to be able to have that relationship with him. Sean took a leave of absence from school last spring. He was coming over pretty much every night to spend time with Jack, which was great for both of them, and the happiest I saw Jack was when Sean came around. I could tell Sean felt awkward around me, so I tried to give them their space and their time, but he was always very conscious about the time he spent and didn't want to upset me. He's truly a sweet kid and just one of the nicest young men I've ever met. In August, one night, I noticed Sean hadn't come down and it was 10, about 2 hours past his normal departure. I peeked inside the room and found him asleep, snuggled up to Jack. So I just shut the door and let them sleep. The next morning, Sean came down the stairs very apologetic, and I assured him it was okay and offered him some breakfast. I learned that Paula told the boys that I hated the family, which is why Andrew wasn't able to hang out with them anymore. Truthfully, Paula really wasn't my favorite person in the world, but I certainly never hated her kids. Sean told me that he knew it was best for Jack to be with us, but he was afraid to lose his brother. That broke my heart. Sean's situation is complicated. He came out as gay at 16 and his father was not thrilled, so they really have no relationship at this point. His mom is gone, his middle brother is with his father, and he barely sees him, so Jack is the only family he has left, besides his grandparents. I did something I never thought I would do in a million years and asked if Sean wanted to move in to be closer to his brother. He started sobbing and hugged me, saying he'd love that. He's pretty much moved in at this point and is back in school. My husband was shocked when he learned I had offered to have him move in, but agreed that it was the right decision. Jack is doing much better acclimating with Sean here. He's amazingly helpful, always offering to assist me with things, pick up groceries, prepare meals. He's very sweet. He's listed Paula's house for sale and will split the proceeds of the sale 3 ways. And for the news that made me decide to post. Last month we found out that we are pregnant again. So in the span of a year, we've gone from a household of 1 child to a household of 3 children with 1 on the way. There's a lot of emotions associated with this that I'm dealing with. I still do a lot of crying and questioning, but I think our marriage is stronger than ever. We're communicating better, and I can say that I genuinely love my life. Oh wow, this is a great outcome. I loved this update, OP. Thank you for sharing. OP, what you are doing is a lovely thing, and I'm sure all the children that live with you and your husband are loved and are happy and will grow up great. Congratulations on your pregnancy, and take care, OP. And now we move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Rumbunbun. Can't even drive the company truck 12 feet on the weekend? Okay. This is my husband's story from a few years ago. He was an equipment salesman and had a company pickup that he brought home at nights and on weekends. His company did not allow personal use aside from driving it to and from work. Some salesmen took advantage of having a pickup and did use it for personal use, and the company installed GPS systems on all company vehicles at the first of the year. My husband was pretty miffed as he really hadn't misused his truck, but he figured he had nothing to hide, so he shrugged it off. In February, he had to attend a trade show on a Saturday. This triggered the GPS and he got a nasty call from his boss who was located in another state. My husband had to provide documentation that he was attending a company-sanctioned event. He felt like he was being babysat. This happened a couple of other times as well. One Saturday that spring, he backed the truck out of the garage and onto the driveway to get the lawnmower out. After he finished mowing, he pulled it back into the garage. Yep, you guessed it. This triggered the GPS twice, and on Monday, his boss called him and chewed him out. My husband tried to explain, but Lou was mad.
You know you are not to drive the company truck on the weekend.
I was moving it out of the garage so I could get my mower out. Does your report show how far each trip was?
They were 0.0025 miles each.
He paused as he seemed to realize how short of a distance these trips were.
But, well, that doesn't matter. No driving after hours or on the weekends. This is being noted in your file.
So, on the weekends, he either parked on the street or in the driveway. A few weeks later, his compliance became malicious. We lived in the Midwest where thunderstorms, tornadoes, and hailstorms are not uncommon. We were under a storm advisory and a strong probability of hail. Should you move your truck into the garage? I asked my husband. You'd think so, but today is a Sunday, and I am forbidden from driving my truck even a few feet, so it's going to stay where it is, he said. As the hail came down, about the size of a quarter, he stood looking out the window at the truck grinning. He loved explaining the damage to his boss and reminding him why the truck was no longer parked in a nice, safe garage. Edited to add, when he reported the damage, he reminded his boss that it was a shame he wasn't allowed to move the truck into his garage when he became aware that a storm was coming. The boss knew damn well he had maliciously followed the policy. The policy was relaxed and reworded a few weeks later. Not sure if it was a direct result of this. Well, OP, your husband followed the rules to the letter. This is just another case of some people that are just a few grams short of a kilo. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.